Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel today. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I made this beautiful fondant crown with no mold, no fondant mold. We simply used our free hand as well as some molds to add detailing to the crown. So let's get started. So here is a list of things that we're going to be needing for this particular tutorial. An angle mold. We have this pretty mold over here. We'll be needing edible gold dust, luster dust. I like to use that particular brand that I showed you in this video. We have water, we have corn flour, CMC, also known as Tylose, and other materials will be listed in the description box. So if you're interested in learning this, please keep watching. To begin this tutorial, we're going to start out using gum paste. Now, to make gum paste, you simply want to add a teaspoon of your CMC or Tylose powder to 500 grams of your fondant. Now, you need a really good fondant recipe. So if you do not have a good fondant recipe and you would like me to share one for you, please leave your comments in the comment section. So after adding your Tylose powder to your already made fondant, you want to knead it in properly. If you notice this period, it's really dry, so you don't really want to add too much of your Tylose. If not, you might really have a difficult time handling your sugar paste. So now I'm going to flatten this out to a quarter of an inch in thickness. But before I go ahead, I want to measure the circumference of my bowl. Now this is a little bowl that I got that I want to use to support my crown. You can use anything depending on the size of the crown that you're going for. So I measured and I got 13 inches. So I'm going to be flattening out my fondant to give me 13 inches, as you can see me do in the video. Kindly note that it's really important that you measure the size or the height and the width of your crown before you go ahead cutting, because if you do not do that, you might end up with a crown that is either too big for your cake or too small. It could even be too short and it wouldn't be as pronounced as you would have loved it to be. So please take your measurements very seriously. So as you can see me in this video, I'm basically trying to trim off the excesses that are on my piece of fondant. While I'm doing that, I'm also measuring to make sure that I do not overcut or undercut my piece of fondant. At this point, it looks clean, so I just grabbed a cookie cutter and I'm going to cut off little semicircles from one end of the piece of fondant, as you can see me do in the video. If you look closely, you'll notice that I'm sort of squeezing my cookie cutter a bit, and it's because I was going for an oval shape and not necessarily a round shape that is the actual shape of the cookie cutter that I was using. So now this is me trying to see how I can fit my fondant around the bowl that I have chosen to use for the mold. Now, it's worthy to note that you do not want to flatten out your fondant too thin. The reason is, even if you do not want to use that bowl, it can work out if your fondant is thick enough. As you can see, I'm actually just trying to get my crown to stand and to stick the edge together, and it's standing firmly. It isn't tilting to one side, and that's because my fondant was thick enough. So now at this point, I'm trying to prepare my molds so that I can get those really nice details that I want on my crown. It's important to dust your cornstarch on your mold and then dust the excess off, so that when you squeeze in the fondant, like you can see me do here, it comes out clean. You can also use Crisco shortening, any type of shortening that you find, that also works. You simply want to rub it into the spaces of the mold and squeeze your fondant in. So now I have been able to get a few of my molds out, or my fondant out of the mold, and I think they look pretty. So at this point, I'm just going to keep making as many of these details as I need until I feel like I'm satisfied with the quantity that I have gotten. Whoever invented molds, Omo, that God bless you, whoever you are. Because are you looking at these beauties? Imagine we had to actually manually craft out all these things. Please don't even get me started. So now I'm going to start arranging my pieces, my details all around this crown. First, I'm starting with the border. I like how this looks. I like how this laps with the border and gives it this really nice look. So that's why I use this. You can use any mold that you see fit. I actually just really like this one. That's why I picked it. So now I'm going to work on the edges, as you can see me do, the corners of the crown, the sharp areas, and I'm just going to apply water to stick it. Basically, water works. You can use edible glue, you can use I don't know what you use, but water works for me. Has worked for me for the longest, and I find that it's easier to stick to the cake than most of these other things that I see people use around. So please, if you don't have an alternative, water works for me, and I believe it should work for you too. So basically, you want to fill up all the spaces, or maybe not all the spaces, but you want to fill up most of the spaces on this crown with the details that you have already gotten from your molds. I am just trying as much as possible to arrange them nicely. Um, I think a few of them broke in the process, but that's okay. You can always fix them or use completely new ones altogether, whatever works for you. And we're just about done. Oh my god, look at this. And we haven't even painted it yet. It looks so good. I mean, okay, I think I have some spaces behind, so I guess I'll just add a few more of my details, and voila, I think this works. This is so pretty, guys. This is so beautiful. So at this point, I basically want to paint, and this is what I'm using to paint. This edible luster dust along with the edible spirit. I believe that a tablespoon of each would be the perfect consistency that you need to paint on your crown. That's a tablespoon of the luster dust and a tablespoon of the edible spirit. If you find it too thin, you can always add an extra teaspoon of your luster dust and continue to mix until you have achieved that perfect consistency that works for you. Just make sure it's not too thin, because if it's too thin, it wouldn't shine. Imagine that I've only gone around my crown once and it shines so good. That's because my liquid wasn't too thin. I mean, look at this, is the finished result. This is so beautiful. This is so pretty. I love how my gold is just shining. And please make sure that you use a great quality gold, or you might not end up with something that looks this good. So if you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.